The first appearance of the Thunderbolts surges in value after the Disney Plus premiere.
Alan Moore gets wild. The legendary writer guest pens American Flagg number 27 in a bizarre, hilarious satire.
And forgotten gems from John Sable, Freelance to crack comics. Y'all got some of them crack comics? Underrated books you should grab before the market catches on. It's all here on a new episode of Bronze and Modern Gods. David Chappelle. Crack comics. Richard, I'm excited about the hot book of the week. Tell everyone.
Yes. So why don't you tell people what you finally managed to do this week?
I finally watched Thunderbolts, everybody. It's on Disney Plus. It premiered on the 27th. I watched it. Let's go through the hot book of the week first, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Okay.
It is Incredible Hulk number 449. Richard, what is this book?
First appearance of the Thunderbolts. It's originally presented as new heroes in the wake of the Avengers being are thought to have been dead post Onslaught, but there's a twist to this story.
Spoilers. Spoilers for a 30-year-old book.
Yeah, it lays the groundwork for the Thunderbolts. Like I said, there's a major twist, which is that they were secretly the masters of evil. And I remember when this came out, it was like mind blowing them actually doing this, because they've never did anything to this scale before.
They kept it a secret. It was none in the solicitations. The internet was just aborting then, so there were no leaks. It can never happen like that again these days. I mean, you can't even get retailers to hold their Batman blind bags until the day they're supposed to sell them. I don't know if you saw that. But yeah, of course, we just talked about the Disney Plus movie premiered on there this week. So that's why this is getting renewed attention and it's lifting the market. You got raw copies selling for anywhere from, mid-grade for $45 to $239 for a CGC 9.8. And just went on to Shortboxed and got some data. I tried something new instead of going. Instead of going to GPI, I went to Shortboxed.
Mm-hmm.
And they list a 9.8 anywhere from $217 to $293, a 9.0 anywhere from $65 to $88. And I just thought that was an interesting way. I still hate using CGC for everything in terms of data and pricing. That's why we moved towards saying raw prices.
All right.
But let's talk about the movie. 4.5 out of 5 stars for me.
Wow, really? They rated that highly.
I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, if you haven't seen it, time to hit that skip button 3 or 4 times if you're on the podcast, 30 seconds ahead. The scene in Bob's subconscious went on a little long, although it had my favorite line from Alexi when the room starts attacking them and chairs and curtains are attacking them and the Thunderbolts show up to save the day. Alexi grabs a pillow and rips it and says, "I take care of pillow." I laughed at that so hard. It was funny. It was touching where it needed to be. I liked the plot. I liked the whole thing with the Sentry. Julie Louis-Dreyfus took this movie, chewed up every piece of scenery until it was a fine paste. It was great. I really liked it.
I enjoyed it as well. I thought, though, that the Sentry could have been fleshed out more. Mm-hmm. That was, I think, a really lost opportunity. But overall, I thought the characters all gelled pretty well together by the end of the movie. And I could definitely see a Thunderbolts 2.
You saw both credit sequences, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you saw the Fantastic Four teaser, which, obviously came before Fantastic Four came out. Also, the mentions of Sam Wilson getting together a new group of Avengers and how the new Avengers with a Z may be on a collision course with the new Avengers, which actually happened in the comics in the Avengers versus Thunderbolts miniseries. So I'm really excited. I mean, it wasn't my Thunderbolts, but I thought it really kept the spirit of bad people trying to redeem themselves, which is what Thunderbolts, the theme, really is. Why would you not have Baron Zemo in the Thunderbolts?
I don't know. The actor who plays Baron Zemo does an exemplary job at that character. Why he was not a part of this, I don't know. Contractual issues. He would have been the perfect character to add to that team.
Replace him. Is the actor not available to be Zemo anymore? Replace him. You can't have Thunderbolts without Zemo. Well, you can. I mean, they just did it, but it would have been. That's my only quibble, really.
Yeah,
they had a Zemo. They were building up to it. Why not have a Zemo, especially with Bucky, the conflict there from their prior meetings? It would have been fantastic.
it would have.
Yeah, but
Thunderbolts 2, maybe.
It says that they will return soon. Yeah, I just wonder if it. I know it did well. I don't know if it did well enough with the market, the spend, and everything. Time will tell. Let's talk about some funny books in our show and tell segment. What do you say? Okay, not a theme, but I do have something related for my first show and tell, and that is U.S. Agent #1.
Oh,
this is the first solo miniseries for this character, John Walker. This cover bugs me. Why is his face in shadow? There's no reason for that. It's him. It's not someone disguised him as him. It's not a new U.S. agent.
They didn't put the corner box in shadow.
No. Why? Mark Grunwald wrote this, the man who created John Walker and the U.S. agent. MC Wyman is the artist. He was always a decent artist. Nothing to get super jazzed about, but he could tell a story very well. But this cover bugs me. Not a fan. No. But the story's good. Just more kind of redemption for John Walker after he killed two characters named right winger and left winger.
Well, at least he's equal opportunity.
Exactly. What is your first show and tell book?
I have a little bit of theme going. These are all Peter Parker and the Spectacular Spider-Man. First one, I had to show off this one. This is from 2017. It is a J. Scott Campbell cover. You've got Peter on the cover and Mary Jane. Just a very classic kind of shot. Marvel is reviving the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, so just like this cover.
The only thing that bugs me about that cover, and it bugs me a lot when they do this, I guess there's no institutional knowledge there anymore except for Tom Brevoort. If you're gonna do a classic trade dress and make it look like it came from the 70s, do it right. It's wrong. You've got the banner correct, but it's not flush with the corner box. Mm-hmm. The wrong Marvel logo. Just do it right, guys. We're gonna do it all the way. What's the point?
But do you blame them or do you blame J. Scott? Because I don't know how much creative control he has over.
I imagine he mocked that whole thing up on the computer and sent it in, and they were just like, whoever the 25-year-old assistant editor that approved it said, "Oh, this looks retro. This looks good. Let it go." So yeah.
And this came from J. Scott's store. One of the mystery boxes had this in it.
Oh, nice.
I talk bad about the blind bags that seem to be the new big thing that's coming.
Let's talk about it. DC announced another one this week, another Batman one. Retailers and whatnot sellers are breaking the street date. That first Batman 1 blind bag was not supposed to be available until September 3rd, and they're already breaking them and selling them online. DC Lunar had to send out a cease and desist, basically saying, "Don't do this. It's not fair." It's gambling. It's taken over, man.
No, it is. It is. I really, at first I thought, maybe this is going to be a one-off kind of thing, but and if they make money at it, it's just going to be a part of the fabric of collecting from now on, which is unfortunate. I hate to see things artificially made rare for the opportunity of selling it at a higher price. I mean, people are going to buy more blind bags to try to get those. You're going to have Chase Comics now, and it's just, I'm just not looking forward to that.
Beanie Babies. it reminds me that it kind of cheapens what you're doing. Have you heard anybody talk about Battle Beasts? What a great story it is.
No.
You know, from a Kirkman thing, who's responsible for Walking Dead and Invincible. Those are things, you know, he's story driven, and it really overshadows the character of the story. But we're also grumpy old men. So there's
Very
that.
much so.
Whoa, Nelly.
I haven't seen that book in forever.
Whoa, Nelly #1 from Jaime Hernandez. This is a Love and Rockets spinoff that kind of came between the cancellation of Volume 1, the magazine series, and before they started up Volume 2, which was comic book size. This filled in some blanks in between that time. What was Maggie doing? What was she doing going around with her aunt on the wrestling circuit? These kind of these 3 issues bring you up to speed. There she is, Miss Chascarillo up in the corner. It's a Love and Rockets comic book. In case you didn't know. Just a really fun series. It's been reprinted. I think it's included in some of the trade paperbacks to fill in that space, but it's nothing you can ignore. There's key things happening here to move the story forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a number of those spin-offs, so, you know, limited issue spin-offs, like Penny Century was another one they did, which was also very good if you get an opportunity to read that.
Maggie and Hopi color special. I think that was another one.
Yeah, yeah.
So your Love and Rockets collection is not complete yet, people. Get out there.
Yeah, don't tell the OCD people in our audience that.
Oh my God. What's next?
Well, you can't talk about Peter Parker without #1. Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man with Tarantula, and he's got the world's worst shoes.
Y'all know what I'm gonna say. How does he walk?
Yeah, I'm assuming they're the points. You know, I was looking at it again. They're the points of his shoes and not on the heels of his shoes, because that would be stupid.
That cover is very similar to ASM 135. I mean,
It
it was almost in the same exact pose. Do you remember, we were talking on Thursday's live stream? If you're not a member, you might want to think about it because you miss great stuff like this. How, when we were kids, how excited we were about things like Nova #1. And we were trying to, like, I'm going to buy more than one copy because it's going to make me rich. This was another one that we all were super excited about. The Spider-Man #1 that we can get on the ground floor of. That was not Spidey Super Stories. It was a serious Spider-Man book. And this is a book that's never really held a lot of value. I think there's too many of them out there.
Yeah, this whole series, I mean, there are a couple exceptions of books that have some heightened value to them, but for the most part, yeah, this is also ran series. You would have thought a second Spider-Man series would have been as important as the first one, or at least have a similar interest, but no. And then introduce Web of Spider-Man later, you know, which to me kind of started to dilute my interest in Spider-Man, because there's only so many Spider stories you can read every month. But yeah.
You know, the origin of this book was Gary Conway was writing Amazing Spider-Man, and he went over to DC for a little bit. And so the book went over to Len Wein, who was writing it. And then Jerry Conway decided to come back to Marvel. And one of the conditions was, you got to give me a Spider-Man book to write. And that was the compromise, which was fine. They're like, okay, great. And I think he wrote the first 4 issues, then he went back to DC. Commenters, fans, viewers, did I get that timeline right? I think that's what happened. I know that book was created to give Jerry Conway a Spider-Man book to write. I don't know, Jerry, you should have just gone and done a revival of the Two Gun Kid. Two Gun Kid 57. Look at that Jack Kirby cover.
What's going on with that gun?
He is spinning it. See, like
okay.
I'll show you. It's the shootout with Sundance Slade. And there's your word bubbles, Richard. Your word balloons.
Yeah,
Look,
I missed those. Yeah,
he outdrew the kid. What? It had to happen. See, he outdrew him.
And those colors too are just amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful in person. You got to see how deep that purple is. Just a really good cover. Pre-Fantastic Four #1.
Oh, yeah.
And just what, 3 issues later, they would revamp the Two Gun Kid, revive it, and make him a costumed hero with a mask that was a lawyer in his regular life, a very meek, skinny, nerdy lawyer who would
Really?
become the Two Gun Kid. Pew, 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 pew. What is your last show and tell book?
My last book is it's a reprint, actually. It's Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man #6 with the twinkly bag.
Gosh, why did that book have to reprint Marvel Team Up #3, Richard?
It actually has 2 pages, 2 new story pages at the beginning, and 1 new page at the end of the story. But yeah, Mobius is the villain here. You've got Human Torch and Spidey as the heroes, and it is a reprint of that title.
You know why? A brand new title, and you already have a reprint in issue 6, because the guy who you created the book for just left you in a lurch and went over to DC. I am a big proponent of job hopping. If you're not getting what you want in your current job, nothing is stopping you. The best way to get a big raise is to leave.
I had a bonus book.
Oh yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, I don't have it physically. I was, we were talking. I don't know. We want to make a segment about eBay, because I was browsing on eBay.
Right. Yeah.
Every now and then a rare book shows up that interests me, and in this case, it was Miracle Man #1, specifically the gold San Diego Comic-Con variant. But it's not really a variant. It's simply it was signed by
Alan Moore.
Thank you very much. I could not think of Mr. Moore's name. Signed by Alan Moore, which is a rarity. He does not do very many signatures, but he did 400 books of this. The first 400 books he signed, and they were numbered. And you got this certificate of authenticity with it as well. And there was 2 different colors. There was a gold one for the first 400 because he signed those and they were numbered. And then the second sign, where it was a blue certificate of authenticity, and they were just numbered. He did not sign those. So he signed only 400 books. I have one of these. I have a 9.2. But a 9.8 showed up on eBay, which is the first 9.8 I have seen on eBay. It's obviously a rare book. If there's only 400 of them and only so many of them are 9.8s. It had the gold certificate of authenticity with it as well. Fortunately that stayed with the book. Wanted $3,000 for this as a 9.8.
Hit by it now, and it's on the way.
That's a bill. I got a 9.2, and the reason I got the 9.2 to protect me mentally against the assault of a 9.8, because I knew a 9.8 was going to be expensive. My 9.2 was not cheap. I probably $900 into the 9.2. But I'm good. I don't have that, like, wow, I really want that, because I don't have a copy of that. And it's
what would you pay for a 9.8? 1,000?
For a 9.8, I might go to 2.
Wow. You on the podcast, you don't see my face right now.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Again, I've got a 9.2, so I don't need a 9.8. If I didn't have the 9.2, then maybe I would do 2. But you're right. I don't know. And this is not the same market,
right,
that it used to be in 2020, 2021. So I think $3,000 is a lot, but at the same time, there just aren't that many. I mean, this is not artificial scarcity in that, we're going to blind bag these things. There's only so many at all. And if you want an Alan Moore signed book, this is kind of your best shot at it. The one thing I will show, if you look at the picture here, it's a blue label.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Alan signed it not on the cover, but on the first page. It's signed and numbered on the first page. So it doesn't get a yellow label. It wasn't witnessed. Back then, they didn't witness these things. So if he had signed the cover, it would end up with a green label. Because
what happens if you buy it, you crack it, or no, you send it in to be cracked and JSA'd? Would it be a yellow label? No, because it's not witnessed. Would it be a blue label with a black JSA stripe? What would it be?
That's a very, very, very good question. I don't think I personally, if I had a 9.8, I would not trust the gods of that B that because you're not guaranteed if they crack it and regrade it, it's going to be a 9.8 again.
Is your
So
is your 9.2 a 9.2?
yes, yes.
Improvable? Like if you could let me do some voodoo?
I pressed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a fair 9.2.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah,
was all, I was offering.
I'm comfortable. It didn't come back at 9.4, which is always that kind of 9.2. There are some flaws in it.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, there's a manufacturer flaw on all the first of the 1,000. There's a crinkle in the cover
Right.
of the book, so that always gets a pass.
The
But
nutsack crease.
but I just thought this was cool. This is a book I don't see very often on eBay, and when I am constantly searching eBay. I have a number of alerts running, and as I come across things that I think are interesting, I think I'll bring them up.
Richard, the only man in comic book collecting history to be happier with a 9.2 than a 9.4. For more of this back and forth, you really want to become a member because you help us out. $2.99 a month, you get Thursdays extended chat with us. You can chat live. You can come be on the show and show and tell. Boy, we had a show and tell last Thursday, didn't we?
Oh, we sure did. Oh, wow.
SM1 signed by Stan Lee, possibly double signed with a Steve Ditko.
You did go, yeah.
Verified. We had an FF #1 on show and tell. I mean, come on, what are you missing here? You get shout outs right here. We have some new members. There they go. Thank you, new members. And it's easy. You just hit join right here on YouTube next to the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform, it's in the description in a link right there as we pivot to viewer mail.
You've got mail.
Richard, my first piece of viewer mail comes from Ready, Set, Collect. Go, go, go. Talking about the Authority last week. Like Richard, I was out of comics when Authority/Planetary came out originally. When I started getting back into things, the first thing I recommended to me by 3 different people, literally in my first week of going to shops again, was the Authority. I picked up some issues and was immediately hooked. The one-off stories of all the characters are equally incredible as well. This was undeniably one of the top 3 books series that pulled me back in and that I genuinely reread in one shape or form every year. It's on the top of my recommendations as well. Yes, Ready, Set. Richard, you got to read The Authority.
I do. I hear nothing but positive things about it. I'm going to have to start reading it.
Yeah, 24 issues. It's a week and a half of bedtime reading, so you done pretty quick. Do you read in bed?
I have my iPad and I have digital versions of books, and I will read that way.
Same here. The arguments about the screen. It's too bright. I want to go to sleep. What is your first piece of viewer mail?
My first piece is from YouTube. The Deadly Venoms. I love that name. That is awesome.
The 4 deadly.
The 4 Deadly Venoms. You're right. The 4 Deadly Venoms. And this is a comment that I made. This is another reason you got to tune into our live streams, our members only streams. I say weird things. And I said at the time that we were talking about Luke Skywalker, and I said that he's no longer with us, and got a lot of comments. People are worried, and the comment here is, "What did Richard mean by he is no longer with us? Mark Hamill didn't pass away, did he? No, Mark Hamill is safe. Didn't mean Mark Hamill passed away. I meant Luke Skywalker in the last Star Wars movie. He transcended, just as Yoda, just as Obi-Wan. He transcended to the next level. So he's no longer on the physical plane. He's not dead, as most Jedi apparently have the ability to hang around after their mortal bodies perish. But he's not going to be actively a part of the future Star Wars movies, unless, of course, they do some going back in time, and they do digital versions of Luke Skywalker, which they've done in The Mandalorian, and it came out okay. I think a little uncanny valley, but I think the technology's improved so much since then, which is scary. we could have Luke Skywalker in a movie. He was in some Ahsoka Tano episodes as well, and he didn't look that bad. So yeah, no, Lucas. I mean, Luke is no longer with us, but Mark is.
Richard, sending fear into the hearts of Star Wars fans everywhere. Well, you're not the only one starting false rumors about people dying over the past week. So there's that. We have comments from older videos too. And there was a video we did about when it was time to let go and sell your collection as you get into your 50s and 60s. And commenting on that video is Poser 1158. Great discussion. Started collecting comics in my late 50s about 1 year ago, making all the rookie mistakes and spent quite some cash and wondering, where do I go from here with all these comics? My children are not really interested. They never read comics. And it's hard for them to relate with my excitement. I wonder if collecting NFT comics is the next way to go. Easy to store, sell, etc. Poser, no. I'm going to say no on the NFTs. Richard, you look like you have thoughts. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, I would rather. I will send you JPEGs of the comics you like, and you can put them in a folder on your hard drive, and it's exactly the same thing as NFTs. There is no value in any of those NFT comics. I know companies like VV will want you to believe that, but VV just recently changed their policy that so you can't actually. You used to be able to take your NFTs and sell them and for real money, and then take the real money out of the system. Can't do that anymore, and I think that's a sign of where that particular industry is going. So stay away from NFTs. Just like I said, collect a bunch of JPEGs in a folder, maybe print them out and have the covers around your office. But I'd stay away from NFTs.
Just to be clear, you can still sell your gems on VV. You just can't convert them to cash on VV. You have to use the new platform called Stacker. So it's an additional hurdle you have to do to get that cash out. And, I went in when they made that announcement. I had a Marvel Comics #1, which at one point, was worth $300. Now I think it's $20, $12, something like that. What is your next piece of viewer mail, Richard?
My next piece is also from YouTube. It's Black Mamba 1972. And you're talking about Spec. Specifically, I had a book, a Star Wars book that was the first cover appearance of Mara Jade, who was the wife of Luke Skywalker. And he says, I'm still holding out on the Spec. Mara Jade is the last major Legends Star Wars character that hasn't been introduced yet. Given her ongoing popularity to this day from the fandom, I still think there is a chance, especially with the Heir to the Empire movie in development. They could even tweak her story to eliminate the marriage angle and just have as a standalone character. If she is ever introduced, watch this book skyrocket. So yes, I had Heir to the Empire. I believe it's issue #5 with her on the cover. I feel exact Black Mamba the same exact way. That's why I bought it. I bought a number of this book in middle grades. I was not going to pay for a 9.8 for this as a spec book, but I have a number of 9.2s, 9.4s, and it's it's the first cover appearance of Luke Skywalker's wife in the Legends continuity. Now, that's all changed, and Disney has changed the backstory and the continuity. But as Black Mamba says, if they come out with a Heir to the Empire movie, Heir to the Empire is also the series where Admiral, oh no, I can't remember his stupid name.
Thrawn?
Admiral Thrawn. Thank you. You're my hero.
How did I knew him? I don't know Star Wars. I know that. All right, go on.
Admiral Thrawn is his first appearance is there in the first issue. So there's spec in this series, and if they're making a movie about it, then potentially this book could also come back from the the bottom of my spec pile. I hope so, because I think she's a great character. I also think that Dr. Aphra is a great character. I think there's some amazing characters in the Star Wars universe that Disney just seems to ignore and focuses on other characters. So hopefully they'll get their act straight and focus on some of these other characters that I think are slam dunk winners.
All right. We were talking about the DC style guide that was done in the 80s by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and how it's just recently been reprinted so everybody can look at it and get access to it. And that prompted viewer mail from Oliver Ortiz. I want to comment on whether the gloss is lost on that Garcia Lopez house style guide being reprinted. Something that exists that very few people have seen is cool for those that have it, but the actual thing is lost on the rest of us. Seeing something so we can all appreciate is a better thing, in my opinion. Jose Garcia Lopez is so underappreciated, so anything that showcases him and other comic book legends is a win-win for the community. I agree, Oliver. I was just wondering, if you had an original one, if the value is going to go down. Probably not. Those first issue comics are a treat to get. We were talking about first issue special and Lady Cop. And we also talked about Marvel 2-in-1 last week. Marvel 2-in-1 and Marvel Team Up were an every month staple in my early comic book reading. I have complete runs of both. All right. I appreciate you both. Well, thank you, Oliver. We appreciate you too. Thanks for writing in. And Richard, what is your last piece of viewer mail?
My last piece, I believe this one was a members only comment. And we were talking about comic books friends and how we, as kids, John apparently had a circle of friends that he used to, a whole crew talk about comics. Not me. I was the penultimate nerd, and I was a loner. I read comic books by myself. I didn't share any kind of excitement about them with anyone because no one else in my circle of friends was really that interested in them. So
I guess I was lucky. I mean, not only did I have a bunch of comic book reading friends, we had a bunch of D&D friends.
Oh.
And, we would draw dungeons during study hall and try to challenge. Go on. Sorry, read the viewer mail.
So James says, no comic book friends as a kid.
Wow.
3 science fiction reader friends. I did have a couple friends who were into Starlog, so we did talk about that. They didn't cross over into comics. Yeah. My friends did not, who are into science fiction, Star Wars and things like that, were not into comics. So, I wonder if I would have continued instead of taking a break in the 90s, because again, it was just me. If I would have continued, if I had, grown up with, John and Evan and Forrest and people who I'm comic book friends with today, we talk all the time about comics. And if I had that kind of avenue back in the day, would I have dropped out for that period of time?
I dropped out too, though. The mid-90s was rough on all of us, man. And we were in elementary school in the 70s when comics were at one of their lowest lows before the direct market. So I can understand why people didn't have a lot of comic friends back then. There were Star Wars trading cards and other things to spend your money on. Charlie's Angels trading cards.
Yes, Charlie's Angels. Yes.
Farrah Fawcett posters. Man, we are a couple of, wait for it, old farts. It's the old fart rule. Going back 40 years to 1985. Richard, I thought of you. I forgot about this in one of our favorite titles. We're talking about American Flagg, issue number 27. This was a special issue written by Alan Moore.
I didn't know that.
This is the first non-Chaykin issue of American Flagg. I thought Chaykin dropped out a lot sooner than this. I was going through all these issues, and outside of issue 27, Chaykin stayed on till issue 30, I believe. For some reason, I thought he was gone long before that. This was the conclusion of a story that had been building up the previous 6 issues as a backup by Alan Moore and Don Lomax. This is the full-length conclusion to that story arc called The Erogenous Zone. Yes, it's a surreal storyline where subliminal messages embedded in commercials for dish soap wreak absurd havoc, sending people in Kansas into a whirlwind of erotomania. Reuben Flagg and his team scramble to restore order. The Lustbusters. Yeah, it's an Alan Moore story with a Chaykin flavor. He masterfully takes Chaykin's satire by pushing the adult-oriented media tropes, porn, hyperconsumerism, reality TV before there was reality TV. to extremes, and they balances that parody with some narrative coherence here. He pokes fun at the series tone, characters, and the media saturated backdrop, while he also weaves in a few homages in here to Crazy Cat, Little Orphan Annie. You have to read it to see it, believe me. Uh, People forget about this rare entry in Moore's bibliography. He offers you guys a glimpse into his humor and satire in a different Alan Moore context, far removed from the darkness of the Watchmen or Swamp Thing. This is haha, chuckle, chuckle, Alan Moore, and it is entertaining.
Yeah. What else does Alan Moore write that is haha? Everything I can think of his stories are all dark.
He did some humor stuff in his early UK work. This is when you were out again. He had his own line from Wildstorm called America's Best Comics, and there was an anthology title called that as well. And there was like a child inventor character named Jack B. Quick, and there was always lots of whimsy. I wouldn't say it was drop dead, haha, gut laughs, but very whimsical.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, when I think of Alan Moore, I think of V for Vendetta, or Miracle Man, or they're all stories that are pretty heavy, and I appreciate that from him. It would be interesting to read something that was meant to be more lighthearted from him.
The man's got range. Let's move to our underrated books of the week. Speaking of range, you go from superheroes in the 30th century to warlords living in the middle of Earth to this book.
John Sable, Freelance, #1 from First Comics back in 1983. First Comics used to have so much good stuff. When you're talking about a third-party publisher, First had some amazing titles, and this was one of the lead titles on their roster. So this is the debut of John Sable. He was a tough mercenary. He's got a tragic past, and as John mentioned, it's created and illustrated by Mike Grell. This issue, he focuses kind of on his past. He was a game warden turned hunter in Africa, and poachers murdered his entire family. So it's another one of those people who's motivated by some tragic event in their past, and that trauma forms his worldview. But in contrast, he is not only formed by that, but he's also he's a writer of children's stories. I never got this. And he has a children book under the author of B.B. Flem is the name he goes by, nom de plume. But it's this is a gritty kind of action hero character who has depth to him, and John Sable is one of those characters that you always wondered why they didn't make a movie about this guy. It just seemed to be it had all the elements. It had all the action that you want, but it also has depth and emotional characteristics to it that draw you to the character itself more than just the action.
You do know it was an ABC TV series.
Oh, it was. I did not know that.
Very short-lived. I think only 7 episodes aired. But yes,
Wow.
it did make it to TV, and he was a children's author, and he didn't really wear the mask. It was more makeup, like black makeup. But yeah, it was a TV series.
I'm going to have to find that now.
Yeah.
Look at this, just because I'm really curious to see how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this is one of the First Comics flagship titles, and it helped establish the company as a publisher of mature and creator-owned stories,
like American Flagg.
Like American Flagg, exactly. This book, raw, you can get it for $5 to $6. This is not an expensive book. This is one of those books. When you're digging through dollar bins, you're going to find John Sable #4. You're going to find, it is not a run that has any significant collector value, but I think the stories are good. I think if you're looking for something to read that has that kind of high action to it, but also has some depth to it, more than just, muscle bound morons with guns. It's actually something that I think you would enjoy. So yeah, you can find this book really reasonably on eBay. I guess the art for this, there are a number of art, original art that has been sold over the years, and that's varied in price from $1,000 to back in 2020, $17,000 for a particular piece of original art. So that's maybe something that's always something that I have tried to stay out of because it's an expensive hobby, as our friend Erik from Comics or Go will be the first to tell you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that this is I think there's value in that art, which to me says there's people value the series and they value the work.
I have to wonder if that 17K was for a Warlord page though, or for a Legion page.
Yeah.
Because that was for a Grell page. I just don't know what it was for.
Yeah.
Sable ran a long time. They rebooted it with Marv Wolfman writing it, and I believe Bill Yaska drawing it. The reboot did okay, not as well as the original series. I think with the reboot, they got rid of the mask and just kind of, it was like just basically John Sable. Here I am. Here's my face. But entertaining series. Mike Grell never fails to disappoint. You know what you're getting with him.
Fails to disappoint.
He never fails to not disappoint. He never fails to impress. What the heck? Sorry. Oh, you know what I meant. Oh, Mike Grell really he's gonna beat me up when he sees me. When I catch you, Hughes, it's on site. Follow up for me for an underrated book. Last week, I talked a little bit on Show and Tell about Fantastic Comics number 24, part of Erik Larsen's next issue project. Many of you in the comments jumped in and said, yes, I love these. There was more than one. Yes, there was. And we're talking about Crack Comics number 63. It's addictive. From Image Comics in 2011, Crack Comics 63 continues Quality Comics Golden Age Anthology series, picking up right where issue number 62 in 1949 left off, released by Image in November of 2011 as part of Erik's next issue project. Larsen served as editor, aiming to revive public domain characters with fresh, dynamic stories reflecting the promise of the Golden Age, which he defined as bold, inventive, and fun. So you got a roster of modern creators interpreting these public domain characters. You got Alan Weiss, who did the cover here with Captain Triumph, Terry Austin doing Molly the Model, Herb Trimpe doing Spitfire, bringing Herb Trimpe out of retirement there, which is great. Wow. Larsen himself did Hack O'Hara, and the main cover right here is from Alan Weiss, but the one you want to get is the variant cover by Mike Allred. Look at this with the clock. Is that guy's name? I think it was the Clock.
Is it?
Yeah. Now, at the time, just like Fantastic Comics I talked about last week, this was a whopping $4.99 for a comic book. They're crazy, especially for a 48-page Golden Age style one-shot, which means low print run. Very fine condition, 20 to 25 bucks on eBay. Higher grades, the low 50s. So I didn't realize these books sold for a premium. The Fantastic Comics I showed last week sells for about 25 bucks, 20 to 25 bucks. I think the Crack Comics and the Silver Street Comics, which are the other two, sell for more because the print runs went even lower after the first one. So don't buy these until I'm done, please, people. So,
yeah, like I said last time, I love this concept of taking Golden Age books and continuing the story. I wish they would do that to my Zoots. That would be pretty cool.
Maybe there's our next Kickstarter, Richard.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, just doing a book of just Zoot covers of Women in Peril.
Exactly. The Rula collection. You realize the wheels are turning now in my head. That's actually not a bad idea.
It's not. It really isn't.
Don't steal that, anybody. We will catch all you members on Thursday. Everyone else, we will see you next Monday, where I come to you live from Mexico City.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In the meantime,